Hi, I'm Jen with the Evolve HR Group, and today I'm very excited to introduce to you one of our very own incredible coaches. You'll get a glimpse into who she is, what it's like to work with her, and how she helps leaders and teams navigate real challenges with confidence. Welcome, Kira.
Hi, Jen. Thank you.
All right, let's get started with a quick introduction. If you could just introduce yourself and let us know how you got into coaching.
Absolutely. So I'm Kira Childers, like Jen said, with Evolve HR Group. And I sort of fell into coaching when I was working in a company and on the HR team. I did a lot of leadership development work and employee engagement work. And so I sort of transitioned into coaching leaders on both of those topics because, we would do engagement surveys and stuff would come back and I would start working with those leaders on those topics. And it just really turned into a passion for me, particularly with helping leaders drive engagement on their teams and also helping newer leaders adapt to that new phase in their career and to really hone in on their personal, authentic leadership style.
Great. All right, so what is your coaching style and how do you build relationships with your clients?
I would say that my coaching style is fairly laid back. I really like to try to get to know my people and who they are authentically because I really believe that as a leader, you need to lead as your authentic self. One thing that I've talked about with clients before is if you feel like you have to put on a costume to come to work and be a leader, then you're not leading authentically. And that can really lead to burnout ultimately. So, what I try to do is figure out who they are authentically, what makes them tick, and then help them land on a leadership style and leadership techniques that really work for them and their personality. So, the nice thing about leadership development and learning those skills is that all of these things are skills that you can learn and practice and you can get better at as you continue to do them more and more. So, I really look at it also from that growth mindset approach where it's like, okay, if you tried something, maybe it didn't work, let's try something else. Let's lean into just figuring out who you are as a leader and allowing you to grow and maybe make a couple mistakes along the way, and we'll learn from them and move on. So I would say pretty laid back. I also use the Enneagram a lot in coaching because I think that helps people understand who they are and what makes them tick and how they show up to other people. And so using that as a tool, I found to be really, really helpful in, helping people uncover their leadership style and how they relate to others.
Great, thank you. All right, now if you could walk us through what a client can expect if they decided to work with you as coach.
Yeah, so what we typically do is we have the person who is going to be receiving the coaching, we have them fill out kind of a questionnaire, a form that helps us get to know them a little bit and what their goals might look like for the session, maybe some things that they've been struggling with. And then we also typically have somebody either a peer to them or maybe their manager fill out a questionnaire as well, talking about things they've noticed in that person just from another perspective. So I dive into those, I read through those really carefully. I usually come up with some questions that I want to start with that individual. And so the first session is really for me more about getting to know you and what makes you tick, what your goals are, what you're excited about learning, maybe some things you struggle with. And then from that, we can kind of devise a plan. So what we typically do is depending on how often that we're meeting, I prefer to meet, meeting more than once a week is hard because I feel like then you don't have a lot of time to practice things in between. So I like to give people the opportunity to learn skills, talk about skills during the session, and then give them the opportunity to practice those in the real world before we come back and meet the next time. So we'll usually go over some skills, some things that we're working on. Also, if you have any real life situations that you're dealing with, I always tell my people this is your time. I want you to feel like I'm supporting you. So let's talk about the things that are on your mind. And then we just kind of go from there. So we end up with an action plan typically throughout the coaching. And then by the end, there's also an action plan for any other actions that that individual might be carrying out with people that are on their team at their organization.
Great. Okay, so what are some of those challenges that clients come to you to help solve the most often?
Yeah, so like I said, I tend to work with people who are more early in their career with leadership, those who are just kind of figuring it out, or maybe they were recently promoted. I've worked with quite a few individuals who have been part of a team and then were promoted to lead that team, which is its own special kind of challenge. So while I typically work with more early career leaders or emerging leaders, Jill Lehman, who is our other coach, typically works with the higher level, more executive level folks. So we kind of serve a little bit of a different audience points, but I also provide coaching and consultation too, again, on engagement and how to drive engagement on your teams and how to address challenges with employee engagement.
Sounds good. So we've got everyone covered, I guess.
Yeah,
Huh?
we kind of have it all covered, pretty much all the range of leadership.
Awesome. Okay, so how about your approach? How does your approach differ from other consultants and coaches out there?
I feel like what's probably different about how I approach it is that I don't really come in with a prescribed idea of a way that I have to coach somebody, if that makes sense, because I
Yep.
want whatever I'm doing to fit with what they need and what their situation demands. So I would say that it's probably pretty customized. I mean, I don't say I have to use this tool or I have to use this third tool or I have to use this competency model or, I have to use this. I want to see what they need and then design something around them that is as unique as they are and as unique as their leadership style.
Great. Okay, can you share a favorite success story or breakthrough moment you've had with a client?
This is kind of hard because I feel like that's happened enough times. I mean, it's one of the really rewarding things about coaching is when you can just help somebody kind of get somewhere that they haven't been before or that they weren't sure that they could get to. That's extremely rewarding for me. I love seeing those light bulb moments. That's also what I liked about training and training and development. So I have a few situations like that. I would say a recent one that was kind of neat. I was coaching somebody who is in a role. This individual does not directly manage people, but this person is very involved in the onboarding and training of new employees in their role. And this person was kind of getting some feedback that the feedback that they were providing to new employees wasn't necessarily being received maybe in the way that they intended. And so one thing that we worked on, I think a normal approach would have probably have been like, how do you give feedback better? But what I wanted this person to understand was what it feels like to receive feedback. So we read through a book that I love called Thanks for the Feedback. And we really dove into that and kind of it helped this person understand how others are receiving what they're communicating, as opposed to, well, here's how you do a sandwich or here's how you do this and that. It's not so tactical, but like understanding what that feels like to somebody so that they can shift their perspective and say, how do I help this individual receive feedback in the best possible way for them now that I understand what it's like to receive that feedback? Because this individual too doesn't have a problem with receiving critical feedback. They're fine with it. If someone gives that to them, they're thinking, okay, cool, I'll just fix it, do better next time. It doesn't impact them the way that it impacts some others. And so, just learning how other people adjusted to that and how they handled that, I think was really helpful for this individual in understanding how they were coming off to these new employees. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
All right. So a couple more questions here in closing. The next one, what advice would you give to a business leader who's feeling stuck or overwhelmed with challenges right now?
I would say, reach out for help. Sometimes as leaders, we have trouble doing that. We want to believe that we have it all together. We want to believe that we can handle things, but sometimes even just getting a little bit of a fresh perspective from somebody who is outside of your organization can be really helpful, or even just from somebody who isn't directly involved in the situation. You don't have to feel stuck. We can help you. There's lots of other people that can help you. Just reach out. Don't suffer in silence and don't feel like you have to have it all together. I like to say that nobody ever calls us when things are going well, and that is very true. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help, and we want to do the best we can to help your journey as a leader be a positive one. So just reach out to someone, whether it's us or someone else, reach out for help.
Okay. And then if someone's watching this and wondering if coaching is right for them, what would you say?
I'd say that coaching is right for a lot of people in a lot of different situations. If you feel like you are ready to grow, take something to the next level, if you feel like there's something that's kind of holding you back and you're not really sure what it is, if you feel like you have some challenges that you don't really know how to address, I would say coaching is for you. I think self-reflection can be a really powerful tool, and I utilize that a lot with people that I coach. However, having that person who can look at something from a different perspective and kind of help to walk alongside you and guide you on your journey is really invaluable. And just that shift in perspective can sometimes take you to an entirely different place that you wouldn't reach on your own. So I would just say that, we're better together, and you can reach out, ask for help, and we'll walk there with you.
Awesome. So yeah, clearly coaching provides just a powerful confidential space for both individuals and teams.
Yes,
When leaders grow, teams are thriving and organizations are
exactly.
seeing these real results in turn. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, and as a leader, the success of your team is your success, right? So your job as a leader is to be that conduit through which your team succeeds. And so, how can you help your team best succeed? That's your calling card, and that's what we want to help you with.
great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, for anyone out here watching or considering coaching, please reach out at any time to learn more. We would absolutely love to have one of our coaches support you.
Excellent.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jen.
Yep. Bye-bye.